I'm Chastidy Burns. I am an AOPI who graduated from the University of Chicago, the Phi Chi chapter, and I'm currently an assistant public defender for the Cook County Public Defender's Office, where I've been working since 2013.
Okay, so like I said, it's been 2 years since we filmed that first episode. How has your career changed and evolved since we filmed that?
Yeah, so I think when we filmed that, I was either just starting in the felony trial division at my office or about to transition into that. So I've been working on felony cases for the last few years, which has been really interesting and challenging and also very rewarding. My caseload has gone up. Obviously, the pandemic has affected that. But yeah, I've been assigned to a couple different felony trial division courtrooms and also assigned to assist with a couple of homicide cases. So work has been interesting.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that must get very interesting, especially with the pandemic. I'm actually going to go ahead and skip to that question while we're talking about it. How has COVID impacted your career? How has it impacted you professionally and also personally?
So professionally, the courts did get shut down almost exactly a year ago. And so we've been working from home. It started off for the first couple of months where nothing got done because everybody was kind of trying to figure out how to keep cases moving and things like that. So we were essentially really focused on trying to get nonviolent offenders out of the Cook County jail because that became, as you might know, one of the biggest hotspots for COVID-19 in the country. So we spent a lot of time advocating for our clients and working on bond motions and bond hearings. And then eventually the court got up and running again by Zoom. So that's what we've been doing. We have Zoom court every other day. And for the most part, there hasn't been a ton of litigation, but we're getting back into that actually this month. And we're going to start setting some cases for bench trials and motion hearings, and 3 summons have even gone out in the last few weeks. So we're getting back into the swing of things now.
Do you think that that's been more challenging having to do this through Zoom? How would you say that affected you?
Well, one of my favorite things about being a public defender is litigating. So we haven't been able to do that. That's been sad. But it's also been challenging because there's less of a separation between work and your personal life when your office is at home and your phone calls are being transferred to your cell phone. It's kind of hard to shut your brain off at the end of the day. And it's also been really stressful, I'm sure, from our client's standpoint and from just worrying about them being incarcerated, worrying about them possibly catching the virus, worrying about their cases not moving forward or progressing very much. And we haven't been able to demand speedy trials. So it's been a combination of being stressed by working in your home, plus being stressed about the well-being of the people that we represent. So it's been hard, but there have also been some pluses, like we are allowed to do Zoom visits with jail inmates now, which is awesome. Because before we'd have to be in court all day, and then we'd have to also make time after court to review our files and take notes, and then go over to the jail and visit as many clients as we could during the workday. Now we can fit a lot more client interaction in, which has been helpful for the client-attorney relationship.
You kind of touched on it. So how has COVID impacted you personally? I know it's been challenging on all of us, but
Yeah, it's been hard. Well, my biggest hobby is cooking. So actually I've been able to cook a lot more since I'm at home. I've been doing a lot of baking, trying a lot of new recipes. Last spring and summer, I took up some gardening, which I had never done before. So, with the workday being a little more fluid in terms of how you can take your breaks, that's been nice. I also ordered a Peloton bike, so I've been working out, which I had never done before. That's been good. And another thing, actually, speaking of AOPI, I have been connecting with my sisters across the country a lot more than I had before the pandemic, because we weren't socializing in person anymore last year. So we would have weekly Zoom happy hours and Zoom book clubs and things like that. That's been really nice.
I love how I asked you how it affected you personally, and you only listed positive things. I love that that's your personality, to be positive.
I didn't even notice that.
All right, so moving kind of back into your career, are there any special projects you've been working on? I saw a little bit about a podcast that you were co-hosting, and I know you're still involved with the Black Women Lawyers Association, so kind of tell us what projects you've been working on.
Yeah, so the Chicago Bar Association Young Lawyers section has a podcast called At the Bar, and I've been co-hosting a lot of those episodes. We've done some really cool topics. We did one on voting rights. We did one with the Cook County Public Defender, my boss, and talked a lot about bail reform and the different changes that the court is going through throughout the pandemic. We just did an episode a couple weeks ago about Patricia Colombo and this suburban Illinois, homicide case that was huge. We had the prosecutor on that case come on the show. So that's been awesome. I really like podcasting. I'm doing that. And then I also became the second vice chair of the Young Lawyers section executive council for the CDA. And so we, through that, I actually co-founded a racial justice coalition, which brought together almost over 30 bar associations and nonprofit organizations around trying to abolish systemic racism. So we're trying to do that through service opportunities, education, like seminars and continuing legal education programs, as well as community engagement. So we had some really great programs and volunteer opportunities that we put out through that organization over the last year.
That's amazing. I'm always just so impressed by the work that you do. Like, I know the last time we talked, we were talking about that Know Your Rights workshops that was about to start for inner city schools, and now this, like, you are very, very inspiring. I don't know if you get told that a lot.
Thank you.
But I know that you are so inspiring. That is amazing, amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you. Actually, the Street Law Program is actually going to be able to pick up again this year. We have our training session this week. So we weren't able to do it throughout the year like we normally do because the schools have been shut down and extracurriculars have been shut down, but we are doing a special virtual edition this spring that's about to start now. We're actually going to be focusing on hot topics in the law, things that the kids might see on TV and kind of wonder about, like insurrection, or what's the impeachment process, or what is a COVID stimulus bill, things like that attorneys can kind of help them to understand. We'll also be talking about the new Illinois criminal reform bill and what's a no-knock warrant in the wake of Breonna Taylor's death, things like that. So it's going to be a pretty cool program this year.
Speaking of all of that to me sounds like really awesome service opportunities that you get to be a part of through these different organizations. So what are, can you kind of speak a little bit more in detail about some of these service opportunities you've gotten to have and how have these allowed you to give back to your community?
Sure. So the BWLA Street Law Program, which I told you guys about a couple years ago, that started then and it's been going every year. We partner with local high schools and we go into their classrooms after school and we teach them Know Your Rights lessons and life skills lessons. So in the past, we've taught them different constitutional elements. We've taught them about traffic stops and productive encounters with the police and what rights you have in school as far as being searched and things you can and can't bring in. We talked about new Illinois marijuana policy and just things that high schoolers would be interested in knowing about and need to know about. And then we kind of transitioned to the more recent topics for this year's program. I became the Scholarship Fund Board Chair of the Black Women Lawyers Association, which is actually a position I had before a few years ago. But with that, we've been able to give out a special COVID-19 financial hardship grant. We gave out thousands of dollars to students over the last year to help offset some of the expenses that have come up from canceled internships and canceled opportunities because of the pandemic. That's been nice. We've had some new programming to raise money for our scholarship fund. We have our spring essay scholarship contest coming up as well, where we'll give out more funds to law students who need it. And that's just through BWLA and the Chicago Bar Association. Our Racial Justice Coalition has done a lot of service work as well. We've partnered with My Block, My Hood, My City, which is this great organization that I recently got involved with in Chicago that just really gives back to the neighborhood and invests in the South and West Side, their students, and exposing them to opportunities that they normally wouldn't see. So we've partnered with them for all types of workshops with seniors and with children. It's been a lot. There's been a lot of opportunity and people are really excited to kind of get involved.
How do you have time to take care of yourself? I mean, you take care of so many people, even with your job, your day-to-day job. I hope you know, like we really are so proud to call you an AOPI, but also just to
thank you.
And hear your story. It's really incredible. So I thank you so much for doing this.
I have started doing a lot of yoga and meditation, so that's really helpful to keep me calm and centered.
Okay, so next question. Since it's Women's History Month, let's talk about some inspiring women in your life. Do you have any mentors or role models that have inspired you to get to where you are now?
Yeah, my first thought is the past presidents of the Black Women Lawyers Association. So just the judges and the senior attorneys and the leaders in government agencies that I have met through that organization have been so inspirational. When I first joined the Black Women Lawyers Association, I believe the day that I got licensed as an attorney, they were there, pulled me in. I got involved with the Community Service Committee and then just got more involved from there. But it was just so great to have women like that to look up to in a profession that I wasn't as familiar with. I don't have lawyers in my family. I do now. My little sister has been licensed since the last time that I saw you guys, but I didn't have attorneys who could kind of guide me through the profession or show me all the different paths that I could take. And so that was the case when I first joined, and it's still the case now because, now I've gone through different stages where I've wanted to be a judge, or I've wanted to be a public defender on the homicide task force, or all these different things that I didn't even know were possible when I first became a lawyer. I've seen in them, and these women, never hesitate to, bring up my name in times where there are different opportunities to excel, and they're always there to give me advice and guidance. And this is something that Black Women Lawyers Association attorneys say all the time, but you can't be what you can't see. And they are just such great examples of everything that, Black women can be in the profession. So just all of them.
You mentioned you've been able to keep in contact with AOPI sisters over this past year. Do you have any fun memories, like specifically, that you would like to share about those Zoom things?
Yeah, we did some really fun Zooms. So actually, a bunch of AOPIs and we had a trip to Puerto Rico planned for last March, booked and everything. Obviously, the airlines canceled on us and Puerto Rico canceled on us. And so we weren't able to go. So a couple weeks after the weekend that we were supposed to be in Puerto Rico, we did a bathtub brunch. And so we all put on swimsuits and made mimosas and sat in our bathtubs on Zoom to pretend we were on a beach to commemorate the Puerto Rico trip.
Oh my gosh.
I think that's my favorite thing I've heard. I mean, that is my favorite one that's amazing.
All right, so you mentioned at the beginning of this video that you have an awesome new career opportunity coming up. So I'd assume that would fall into the category of exciting projects planned for 2021, but
yeah.
tell us more about that and any other projects you have planned.
Very exciting. So I have accepted a position as counsel for the United States Senate Judiciary Committee, working for Senator Dick Durbin, who is the new chair of the committee. So I'm so excited. I actually interned for him back when I was in college, summer of 2007, I want to say. So I was able to reconnect with him and his staff over the summer because he did this awesome live Zoom interview for my Chicago Bar Association Racial Justice Coalition. Came on and I got to interview him about his role in the Justice and Policing Act, the George Floyd Act that Congress is actually going to be voting on very soon. So excited for that. But reconnected that way, which is crazy because I did not think that half a year later I would end up working for him. But I start that job in a couple weeks. So I'm moving to DC.
I was going to ask if that was taking you to DC, so that's exciting too.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I love DC, and some of my closest AOPI friends are there too.
Okay. Yay, that's awesome. I was going to ask as well. I was like, does this mean that you're moving to DC?
I am. Congress is still remote right now, so I have to stay in Chicago at least for another month or two. But yes, I'm moving to DC.
Courtney, did you have anything else that you wanted to ask?
Honestly, not anything to ask, just just to thank you like for having this interview with us, because I mean, you have no time in your day, so I just appreciate you doing this, and just everything that you have done and spoken out about is just so amazing and encouraging, and we just really appreciate you talking to us.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to do it. I love talking to ALPIs, so I'm happy to do it.